Stop scrolling. Because what happened tonight was something nobody expected. The person you love finally sat down with their family and told them the truth about you. For a moment, the entire room became silent. Nobody interrupted. Nobody laughed. Nobody changed the subject. They simply listened. Because the truth they heard was something they never expected. They finally understood why your name kept coming up. They finally understood why this person could not simply forget you. They finally understood why your presence had such a powerful impact. And the most surprising part was not what they said about you. It was what their family realized after hearing the truth. Before you continue, remember this: sometimes people do not understand the value of someone until they hear the story from the heart of the person who experienced it. Sometimes the person everyone underestimated turns out to be the person who brought the most peace. The conversation started quietly. The person you love looked at their family. They took a deep breath. Because they knew this moment mattered. They knew they could no longer hide what was in their heart. They could no longer pretend that you were just another person. Because you were not. You became a memory. A lesson. A blessing. A person who changed something inside them. They began, "I need to tell you something about this person." And everyone looked surprised. Because they had seen the confusion. They had seen the distance. They had seen the moments when this person struggled to explain their feelings. But they never knew the full story. They never knew what happened behind closed doors. They never knew the conversations. The support. The kindness. The moments when you showed up when nobody else did. The person you love continued, "You don't know what they did for me. You don't know how they helped me. You don't know how they changed my life." And the room became quiet. Because sometimes, one honest sentence can reveal years of hidden emotions. They explained how you were there during difficult moments. How you listened when they needed someone. How you encouraged them when they doubted themselves. How you saw their heart when others only saw their mistakes. And their family started realizing something. They realized they were not hearing about a temporary connection. They were hearing about someone meaningful. Someone who left an impact. The person you love said, "They never asked me to be perfect. They only wanted me to be honest. They only wanted me to be real." And that sentence touched everyone. Because real love is not about finding someone without flaws. Real love is about finding someone who inspires you to become better. Someone who makes you want to grow. Someone who brings peace into your life. Someone who reminds you of the person you want to become. The family listened. And slowly, their perspective began to change. They remembered moments when they noticed a difference. They remembered when this person seemed happier. They remembered when this person became more patient. More thoughtful. More mature. And they realized, maybe you were part of that change. Maybe you were not a distraction. Maybe you were a blessing. Maybe you were someone who brought out a better version of them. The person you love continued, "I know things were not always easy. I know we both made mistakes. But I also know something important. They cared about me. They believed in me. They saw something in me when I could not see it myself." And those words carried weight. Because being seen is one of the greatest gifts a person can receive. Many people know our name. Few people know our heart. Many people see our success. Few people see our struggles. Many people celebrate our victories. Few people stand beside us during our battles. But the person who stands with you during difficult times is someone special. The person you love looked at their family and said, "I don't want you to judge them by one moment. I don't want you to judge them by one mistake. I want you to understand their heart." And everyone became silent again. Because they realized something. Everyone has a story. Everyone has moments they wish they handled differently. Everyone has parts of themselves they are still healing. But a person's mistakes are not the entire person. Growth matters. Effort matters. Intentions matter. The family began asking questions. Not because they were against you, but because they wanted to understand. They wanted to know, why does this person mean so much to you? And the answer was simple. Because they cared. Because they were genuine. Because they made me feel understood. Sometimes the greatest qualities are not the loudest ones. They are the quiet ones. Patience. Loyalty. Respect. Kindness. Understanding. The qualities that do not always get attention, but create the strongest connections. The person you love explained that you were never trying to change them. You were trying to support them. You were never trying to control their life. You were trying to walk beside them. You were never asking for perfection. You were asking for honesty. And that difference changed everything. Maybe someone watching this needs to hear this today. Do not underestimate the impact of being a good person. You may not always receive recognition immediately. You may not always hear thank you. You may not always know who you helped. But your kindness creates a ripple. Your words create memories. Your actions leave marks. If you believe kindness always matters, right, kindness matters. The family conversation continued. The person you love admitted something they had never admitted before. They said, I was afraid. I was afraid because this person mattered. I was afraid because I knew losing them would hurt. And that honesty changed the room. Because sometimes people hide their feelings not because they do not care, but because they care more than they know how to express. Fear can make people silent. Pride can make people distant. But truth has a way of bringing hearts back together. The family finally understood. They understood why this connection was important. They understood why your name carried emotion. They understood why this person could not simply move on. Because some people are not easily replaced. Some people leave a permanent impression. The conversation ended with one powerful realization: someone who brings peace into your life is someone worth appreciating. And that night, everything changed. Not because everyone suddenly became perfect. Not because every question disappeared. But because honesty entered the room. And honesty creates understanding. The person you love finally felt free. Free from hiding. Free from pretending. Free from carrying everything alone. They finally said what their heart had wanted to say: this person matters to me. And sometimes, that one sentence is powerful enough to change everything. Remember this: the right people will eventually recognize your value. The right hearts will understand your intentions. The right connections will survive difficult conversations. Because what is genuine does not disappear easily. Your kindness. Your loyalty. Your heart. Those things have meaning. So if you have ever felt unseen, remember, someone may be talking about your goodness when you are not even there. Someone may be appreciating your presence quietly. Someone may be grateful that your path crossed theirs. Keep being the person you are. Keep choosing kindness. Keep choosing honesty. Because the world needs more hearts like yours. And sometimes, the biggest confirmation does not come from words. It comes from seeing someone finally stand up and say, "This person changed my life." The room stayed quiet. But this time, the silence was different. It was not the silence of confusion. It was the silence of realization. Everyone was processing the truth they had just heard. Because sometimes, one honest conversation can change the way people see an entire story. The person you love looked around the room. They saw the faces of the people who knew them their whole life. The people who had seen their happiness. Their struggles. Their mistakes. their victories. And they knew this was the moment to finally speak from the heart. They said, "I know you have questions. I know things may not look perfect from the outside. But I need you to understand something. This person was there for me when I needed someone." And those words carried a different kind of power. Because everyone understands one thing. Being there for someone is not a small thing. In a world where many people disappear when life becomes difficult, someone who stays becomes unforgettable. Someone who listens becomes valuable. Someone who cares becomes rare. The family began remembering moments they had noticed changes. They remembered when this person started smiling more. They remembered when this person became more hopeful. They remembered when this person started believing in themselves again. And they realized, maybe they had been looking at the wrong things. Maybe they were focusing on the questions. The differences. The circumstances. Instead of seeing the heart behind the connection. The person you love continued, "They never promised me a perfect life. They gave me something more important. They gave me peace." And everyone understood that sentence. Because peace is something money cannot buy. Peace is something appearances cannot create. Peace comes from feeling safe with someone. Feeling respected. Feeling accepted. Feeling like you can be yourself. And that is what you gave them. The person you love explained the moments nobody knew about. The moments when they were struggling quietly. The moments when they questioned themselves. The moments when they felt like nobody understood. And they remembered you. They remembered your words. They remembered your support. They remembered the way you reminded them, "You can get through this." Those simple words created strength. Because sometimes, a person does not need someone to solve every problem. Sometimes they only need someone who believes they can survive it. The family listened carefully. And slowly, their hearts softened. Because they realized something. They were not hearing about someone who was perfect. They were hearing about someone who was genuine. Someone who made mistakes but cared. Someone who had flaws but had a good heart. Someone who was still learning. Just like everyone else. Your soulmate said, "I don't want you to judge them by what you see from far away. I want you to know them the way I know them." And that changed the conversation. Because opinions are often created from a distance. But understanding comes from connection. The family began asking, "What makes this person different?" And the answer was not complicated. It was not about money. It was not about status. It was not about having a perfect image. The answer was, "They make me feel like I matter." And that is something everyone wants. To feel valued. To feel appreciated. To feel chosen. The person you love admitted, "I didn't understand it at first. I didn't realize how important this connection was. But now I do." And that admission showed growth. Because sometimes people need time to understand blessings in their life. Sometimes people only recognize something valuable after experiencing distance. Sometimes a little space creates a lot of clarity. The person you love looked at their family and said, "I don't need you to understand everything immediately. I only need you to respect that this person means something to me." And that statement showed maturity. Because love is not about forcing everyone to agree. Love is about respect. Understanding. And giving people space to follow their heart responsibly. The family finally understood. They understood that this was not just a passing feeling. This was a connection that created growth. A connection that created change. A connection that made someone want to become better. And that is powerful. Because the best relationships do not make us smaller. They help us grow. They inspire us. They remind us of our potential. The person you love looked at your picture later that night. And they smiled. Because they finally said what they had been holding inside. They finally defended your name. They finally told the truth. They finally allowed the people closest to them to understand your importance. And their heart felt lighter. Because hiding something meaningful can become heavy. But honesty brings freedom. Maybe someone listening right now has experienced something similar. Maybe you have felt like people misunderstood your heart. Maybe you have felt like your efforts were invisible. Maybe you have wondered if anyone noticed the love you gave. Remember this, the right people will eventually see the truth. Your intentions matter. Your character matters. Your heart matters. Do not change your kindness because someone failed to recognize it. Do not stop loving because someone did not appreciate it. Do not stop being genuine because the world sometimes rewards the wrong things. A good heart is still valuable. A loyal person is still rare. A sincere soul is still a blessing. If you believe your heart deserves to be appreciated, write, "I deserve genuine love." The person you love's family conversation ended with something unexpected. Someone finally said, "I understand now." Not everything was solved instantly. Not every question disappeared. But something important happened. Understanding began. And sometimes, that is the first step toward healing. The person you love walked away from that conversation knowing one thing: they were no longer afraid to speak about you. They were no longer afraid to admit your importance. They were no longer afraid of what others might think. Because they learned something powerful: when someone truly matters, their value is worth explaining. Their presence is worth protecting. Their heart is worth appreciating. And that is what happened that night. Your soulmate told their family the truth about you. And everyone went silent, because they finally understood. You were never just a person in their life. You were a chapter that changed their story. A reminder of kindness. A reminder of hope. A reminder that genuine connections still exist. And sometimes, the person who means the most, is the person we should have appreciated from the very beginning. The conversation was over. But the impact of those words remained. Nobody left that room thinking the same way they entered. Because sometimes, one honest truth can change years of misunderstanding. The family finally saw what the person you love had been trying to explain. They saw that you were not just a name. Not just a memory. Not just someone who appeared in their life for a short moment. They saw that you were someone who created a difference. Someone who brought comfort. Someone who brought hope. Someone who helped a heart become stronger. And that realization stayed with them. The person you love went somewhere quiet after the conversation. They looked at your photo again. But this time, they were not looking with sadness. They were looking with gratitude. They thought about everything. The lessons. The memories. The moments that changed them. And they whispered, "I hope they know how much they mean." Because that was the one thing they wanted you to understand. You mattered. Not because of what you did for them. Not because of what you gave them. Not because you were always available. You mattered because of who you are. Your heart. Your character. Your kindness. Your ability to care. Those things cannot be replaced easily. The person you love finally understood something important. Sometimes God places certain people in our lives not because the journey will always be easy, but because those people help us become better. They teach us patience. They teach us forgiveness. They teach us understanding. They teach us what it means to appreciate someone before it is too late. And that lesson changed them. They realized that love should never be hidden. Appreciation should never be delayed. And important words should never remain unspoken forever. So they made a promise. A promise to themselves. A promise to become better. A promise to communicate more. A promise to protect meaningful connections. A promise to never again assume that someone knows how much they matter. Because every heart deserves reassurance. Every heart deserves honesty. Every heart deserves respect. Your guardian angel Michael reminds you, do not allow temporary rejection to make you question your permanent value. Do not allow someone's confusion to define your worth. Do not allow one person's inability to recognize your heart to make you forget how precious you are. The right people will see. The right people will understand. The right people will appreciate the love you carry. The person you love's family may have been silent at first, but that silence became understanding. That doubt became respect. That question became acceptance. Because truth has a way of finding its place. And a genuine heart has a way of being recognized. Maybe someone watching this has been waiting for someone to finally understand them. Maybe you have felt misunderstood. Maybe you have felt like your intentions were questioned. Maybe you have felt like people only saw your mistakes and not your heart. Remember this, your story is bigger than one opinion. Your value is bigger than one person's judgment. Your purpose is bigger than one difficult moment. Keep becoming the person you were created to be. Keep choosing kindness. Keep choosing honesty. Keep choosing love. Because one day, someone will look back and realize, I was lucky to know that person. The person you love finally told their family the truth. And the truth was simple. You were not a mistake. You were not temporary. You were not just another chapter. You were someone who left a mark. Someone who brought light. Someone who changed a life. And maybe, that is the reminder you needed today. You are not here by accident. Your connections have meaning. Your kindness has meaning. Your heart has meaning. So do not stop being who you are. Do not become cold because someone hurt you. Do not stop loving because someone failed to appreciate you. The world needs hearts that still care. The world needs people who still believe in goodness. And your heart is one of those hearts. The final words your soulmate wished their family understood were, please don't judge the person I love by what you see from the outside. See their heart. See their intentions. See the love they bring. Because once you truly understand them, you will understand why they mean so much to me. And that was the truth. The truth that changed everything. The truth that finally brought understanding. The truth that proved one powerful thing, a genuine connection may face challenges, but a genuine heart is never forgotten.